Well, I think that's just a little bit of a glimpse of the answer to that question.
Absolutely, man.
Oh,
There
my
is hope.
goodness.
Yeah.
So we get the most exciting thing to be able to take place this morning because we get to hear from the man, the myth, the legend, Jamie Hoitink. Let's give this man a hand. Come on. Come on. I know.
You stop it.
Come on.
Appreciate it.
We got a great word for us this morning. Looking forward to it, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, he said it. There you go. I mean, we can just walk away and they have a good Sunday. No, kidding. My name is Jamie Hoitink. If I haven't met you before, I am the youth director here at Gateway. I get the privilege and the honor of hanging out with those awesome students in the house. Let's hear it up there. Come on, y'all. There you go. There you go. There's a response. There you go. I get the privilege of working with them. They are amazing. And so this morning, we get an awesome opportunity to hear a little bit from some of them. The reality is, like, the majority of us in this room probably don't know what it's like to be a student in 2023. So it's been probably a while for most of us since the last time we were in a high school. So we get to hear a little bit of what that's like. We get to see what God is doing in the life of these students, what he's doing in the life of this youth group and in our schools and in this church. And I'm really excited for you guys to kind of hear a little bit about that. Many of you may not know this, but for a lot of these students, school looks really different than it used to. These guys take a laptop to school with them every single day. Who in this room used a textbook when they were in high school? Textbooks? Come on, yeah. Throw it out the window. What's a textbook anymore? They're just on laptops all the time, which is just crazy. It's a new generation. We've got a lot of new and exciting things, and so some of that can be really awesome, and some of that can be kind of scary. These students, they have phones, right? They have access to technology. They have access to the internet, and they can be on it from the second they wake up to the minute they go to bed, and that's a lot of information. So this generation has access to more information than any generation before, and it could sound kind of doom and gloom, but I promise you guys, there is exciting things that are happening in this youth group and in the lives of these students. And so we get to talk a little bit about that this morning, asking the question of what exciting and new things God is doing in the lives of these students. So with that, you guys, we're going to introduce a couple of our students. If you guys would come on up on stage, let's give them a hand here. It's kind of, give them a hand. Guys, we love them. Yeah, that's right. It can be a little bit scary. I'm going to hop up on the stool with these. Oh, I don't need to give him a microphone. It can be a little bit scary. Sharing in front of even your peers or even your our leaders who spend a lot of time with these students during the week. But these guys have agreed to be open, and so we're doing something a little different this morning. Normally it would be just one pastor up here talking, and what I want to do is provide a space that's like a little more comfortable. So I'm going to be asking these guys some questions, so that it's not just one student just reading out some monologue that they've prepared. It's asking these students questions about what's going on in their lives, what it's like being a student, and seeing what God's doing. So with that, teeing it up, we're gonna get to know these guys a little bit better. So we're gonna start with a name, their grade, and then the most important question: are you on team pancakes or waffles? We all really need to know that in this room, right? Yeah, come on. Yeah. So go ahead, tee us up.
Right. Not really liking this height difference here, Jamie.
Yeah,
it's
I don't like it either.
This.
I'm sorry. I'm usually shorter than everybody because you all outgrow me. So, all right. Yeah, sorry.
I am Sam BRUNEAU, and I'm in 11th grade, and I'm team pancake.
Pancake.
I am Judah Marks. I'm in 10th grade, and I'm also Team Pancake.
I'm Abby BENKERT. I'm in 9th grade, and I'm Team Pancake, too.
Oh.
My name is INGRID AALA, and I'm going to say Team Waffles.
Yes! We like it. Go Team Waffle. I love it. Yeah, this is the weirdest intro ever, but now you guys are comfortable. Now you know our team. We got a couple pancake people, but waffles is where it's at. That's where I'm at. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, and I'm going to start this off just like this. Feel free to just hoot, holler, clap, cheer. When these guys share, it can be uncomfy if it's just crickets, after really cool responses. And so feel free. What's the thing? Say so. That's right, Judah. Say so. If you want to holler out say so or an amen here and there, it's encouraging. It's encouraging to hear you guys' feedback too. So with that, our first question that we're jumping into is this: what role has youth group played in your life?
So I've been in the church my whole life, and I'm also homeschooled. So coming to youth is like a way that I get to experience fellowship because I don't have that at school with friends because I stay at home for school. Yeah. And so a few years ago, I like committed my life to Christ, but then it wasn't like me actually committing. It was like my family's we all commit our life to Christ. It's just what we do. And then coming to youth group, it was like it changed it around, and it was like my relationship with Christ instead of it just being from my family's perspective.
Yeah. Come on. That's awesome. Ooh. That's awesome.
So my dad, we were in the church since I was born. My dad's been a youth pastor for a number of years. Yeah, Kirk, let's go.
Shout out to Kirk. Where's he at? Come on. Woo.
So it's become this like central point of our life. The church has become like, this is the one thing that's like solid. No matter what else happens, we go to church. Like I've probably missed 20 Sundays maybe my entire life.
Come on, that's awesome.
Like if we're on a trip, we'll find a church. Like
that's right.
That's just kind of a thing that we've like done. We're going to do that and we're going to stick with it. And so it's just kind of this central aspect. Like no matter what, we have church at the center, and that's the mandatory thing.
Love it. That's so cool. So cool.
Like Judah and Sam.
Yeah.
The church has definitely been a central point in my life, and I mean, I grew up with it, and it's really nice to be able to, at the end, or like a couple days into school, and I'm super stressed and tired, just be like, it's okay, because tomorrow's Wednesday, or it's okay, because in a couple days it will be Sunday. Yeah. So that's just been my like constant hope, is that it's all right, because youth group or church is coming up.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah. Yeah.
Unlike those people, I haven't really been to church totally too much. I started going again recently, and it's been pretty much a really good highlight of my week, especially like Monday night small groups and youth group. Yeah. And it's just nice to be in a community where it's nice to be in a community where you feel like loved and like-minded, and it's just a great way to spend your time and get away from all the stress and drama of school.
Yeah, so good. Come on, that's awesome. That's so good. All right, well, here we go. We're jumping into question 2, and just a little bit of context here. This is a very mixed bunch here. So, as Sam said, kind of right off the top, we have someone who's homeschooled. Judah goes to North Kitsap, so we got some North Kitsap people. Abby here goes to our Crosspoint school, which is awesome. Yeah, let's hear it. One person from Crosspoint, and then Ingrid goes to NK as well. So, yeah, there's one for NK too. I love it. So we got a mixed group of students up here with different perspectives. So with that being said, what responses have you seen from your peers and in your school when you share about youth group or about God or the church?
All right. So I'm homeschooled, as he said. So that means I'm not always around people that don't follow Christ already, because youth group and church is kind of like the only place I really find fellowship. So I don't get to like share the word with people very often. So that just means like whenever I get to or find someone that wants to listen, it just makes it a lot more special to me.
Yeah, that's cool.
So going to public school, it's a little different because you have a lot of people that don't really know about Jesus, and they don't really know anything about Christianity. They have like these like assumptions or these like things that they've been told, but like very often some of those things aren't true. And so it's kind of interesting when you actually get to talk to those like non-believers and people and like kind of explain like why you do these things, or like what Christianity really is. Because I feel like a lot of people don't really know, because they haven't really been taught, because they've never grown up in the church. And so it's kind of interesting when it's really cool when you get to talk to people that like don't really know about the stuff, and you get to teach them, and then maybe they grow their faith a little bit. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's awesome.
It's definitely a different perspective, because I go to a private Christian school, so most of my friends are Christian, and they have been for a really long time. But teenagers are super busy. Like, we have to balance school and sports and church. And, school is not optional. And sometimes in some families, sports aren't optional either. So when I invite them to church, church is optional. So it kind of falls by the wayside when I ask them to come. But then when they do, it really changes their life, and it's really cool to see.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I go to NK, and the only person I really talk about like Christ and like church about is with Judah, because I sit at his lunch table.
Yeah.
Because it's like really hard to talk to other students about it because they're like, ew, icky, they're like a church kid. But sometimes I like want to try because it's like, it'd be nice to have more of a community.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, kind of something we touched on earlier is you guys have a lot of access to a lot of new stuff, a lot of technology. So this question is just we'll see where you guys go with it. But how's technology, social media? You guys, there is a lot of social media out there. I think they're making a new one every month. Tom's on all the new ones because he's a hip young pastor. Yeah, that's right. He's still staying hip and young. You got phones and computers and constant access to the internet. How does those technology and all of that, how does it impact your life as a youth?
Yeah, so I love technology. I use it every day for school, for fun, for a lot of things. And Jamie's using it for his notes right now.
Come
so,
on,
yeah.
I love it.
Like, I use it for everything, and it has so many different purposes, and some of those purposes are really good, like reading the Bible and learning more about Christ, finding fellowship, like communicating with your friends. You can share the word just over the internet with other people.
Right.
And there's also the other side to it, where it's like the dark side, and it's like you don't want to find these things, and there's a lot of things that you try to like hide from a lot of people. And like it's just hard to stay away from that sometimes because it's just everywhere, and like it's really hard to be like tempted by those things constantly, just every single day. But yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle. But
Yeah, that's very honest. I appreciate that. That's good.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Sam's saying, like how the idea of like there's so much access to like all these different things. Like there's some really great stuff. Like you can get the Bible app. You can talk to people like all the way across the world. You could be kind of like a, I don't know, technological evangelist, I guess you could say. Social media evangelist.
Sure, yeah, it's out
But
there.
then there's also like the negative side and the downside where there's like all this access to like all these temptations and stuff that are just like these negative like rabbit holes, you could say, on the internet where it's like 2 clicks and you're already on like going down this path towards sin, and it's kind of scary at the same time.
Yeah,
So.
that's true. There you go.
What was the question again? I wasn't listening.
Yeah. That's my joke. No kidding. That's good.
I got my notes too. But just being a teen in a world that's like so full of distractions, just to put it simply, it's tough. Like the world is right at your fingertips, and you can just immediately, like Judah said, like 2 clicks and you're down the road of sin. And so it's really easy to get sucked into that instead of like spending time with Jesus or reading the Bible, which I think that's why youth group is so important to us, because it's a distraction-free environment where you can just let it go and focus on Jesus.
Come on. Yeah, that's awesome.
This might be like really shocking to everybody, but I don't have any form of social media.
Let's go. Yeah. We like it. Yeah. There you go.
But like as a teen, I feel pressured by everyone else to be like, oh, you should get Be Real, or you should get TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a negative effect of technology, but mostly I use my technology to just like listen to music, and that's what I just like to do.
Love it. That's awesome. That's encouraging. That's really cool. So I don't want to just focus on the negative things. We're here to celebrate with you guys and hear some of the really cool things that God's been doing in your guys' life. So this awesome crew all had the chance to go to our winter camp this year. And some of you guys have been to a number of camps. And so, let's hear it for Snow Blast up there. We love it. Yeah. What impact has camp made on your life?
Okay, so like you said, a lot of us have been to several camps. I've been to every single Snow Blast that I've been in youth group for.
Love it.
So yeah, and like all the previous camps, they've all just been like, I get to hang out with my friends, have a lot of fun. There's the God times where you get to just like worship and just be in the presence of God, and that's also like, that's really cool. Mm-hmm. But this year, it was really a turning point. Like it really changed my perspective of how I thought about Christ and like my relationship with Him. And ever since I came back from Snow Blast, I've been reading my Bible every single day and like in the morning spending my time with God. So I think that's really cool for me to experience.
That's awesome. Come on. That's worth celebrating.
It's really cool going up and like, because when we should get to go up in the mountains, and it's kind of this, the one thing I thought about is it's just us, our friends, and God. Like all the distractions just kind of like fade away.
Yeah.
Because you can't cell service. Like there's nothing.
There's nothing up there. Yeah.
You're lucky if you can get a phone call up there. It's crazy.
No way.
But it's really cool because you can. It's not only just like my walk and my faith was strengthened by it, but it was interesting to see like my friends' faith, just to watch them grow in their faith and like grow these roots and recommit themselves, I guess maybe as well.
Yeah.
It was just really cool to like see all these different things happening at the same time.
So cool. Love it. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I highly, highly encourage camp. It's such an amazing experience because, like Judah said, you go away from civilization and away from cell service, away from everything, and you don't have to worry about school or sports or, friend drama. It's just like it frees up your brain space to just think about your relationship with Jesus. And you get to hang out with your friends and have a lot of fun, but the main focus is Jesus, and I think that's what makes it really cool.
Yeah. Love that. Love that.
So this was my first year going to Snow Blast, and it was definitely a really nice opportunity to experience because it was just like centered around one thing that's bigger than all of like the drama of public school or just like any friendship. So it was nice to like be in a space where you can just like talk about it and just like worship.
Yeah. So cool. Love that. All right, and here's the last one. This is the one I'm most excited about. Is what's the coolest thing that you've seen God do in your life in the last year?
Yeah, so before camp, I was kind of in a tough place with God, and I wasn't really like following what He was telling me to do, and wasn't really listening to Him very much. But then after camp, and during camp, like at camp, it felt like He was giving me a lot of signs, like what my future is supposed to look like. And I think it's just really awesome to see like Him showing me all these things, and it's just really fun to see how He's showing me these signs, and it's always fun to see that.
Yeah, that's super cool. Right on. Love it.
So in like the last year, I've like I wasn't really strong on reading the Bible, but like every time I would read it, I don't know why, but for some reason I just kind of struggled to understand it. Maybe that's because I was reading King James Version, but I kind of struggled to understand what they were trying to say and these different things.
Yeah.
And after camp, it was kind of cool because I like started to like really like think about him and started to understand what's kind of going on. And then it was also really cool to see just how he worked and all these different people and kind of get to like see into their walk as well as mine. So
Yeah.
it was really cool to see like their faith strength and their beginning at that time. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks, Finn.
Like Jamie said, I do get the opportunity to go to a private Christian school, and I live in a Christian home. So not only do I get to see God moving in my life, but I get to see Him moving in, my parents' lives, my siblings' lives, my teachers' lives, and my friends' lives, and that's a really cool thing to see. But what He really showed me was you don't need a crazy God story to have a testimony. Like, you can. My testimony is that just He's faithful. Like, I don't have a miraculous healing or, you don't need that. Just your testimony can just be that God is faithful, and that's what mine is.
Yeah, come on. So good.
So I've been going to youth group for like about a year. So my relationship with God is like somewhat new in this sort of form. But definitely I've been a little like skeptical because like I couldn't really see the signs or like feel it. But then at like Snow Blast, it was the Saturday, and I was having a really tough time. And then when we got to session time later that night, Mario shared a message about forgiveness, and it was something like I really needed to hear. And then Mikey Moore, he played my favorite worship song, and it kind of just felt like God really did see me, and that He was actually there, and I could actually feel His love, and it was just super nice.
So good. So good. Man, how encouraging is that to hear from all the amazing things that God is doing. I threw a question at you guys last time. I'm going to do it again. And if you got an answer, awesome. What's your guys' favorite part about youth group?
So I really like the worship because I get to stand right here. A couple Sundays too, even like.
Come on.
I love just playing the guitar, singing, worshiping with my heart and stuff with God.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
I really like the community aspect of it as well. Like I love the worship. The worship is amazing, and I also love the like the community aspect of it. Like we can all gather out on the ground here and just kind of like be in community and just worship together, and also just get to talk because I don't really have a lot of like really great friends at school.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my friends are youth people.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to see like just hang out with them. You know.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. So good.
I also sing for the worship team, and it's a really cool opportunity because I get to be right here, and the whole youth is right there, and I just get to watch people worship, and it's a super cool opportunity, and I think it's really grown my faith too. Yeah. And also, like Judah said, I love the social aspect and getting to hang out with my friends, and then ultimately getting to focus on Jesus. It's just a really cool time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like Sam and Abby, I'm a part of the worship team for the youth group.
Love it.
So it's really cool just being on stage, sharing your gift in a positive way.
Yeah.
And when words fail, music speaks.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So good. Well, let's give these guys a huge hand. You guys have been amazing just getting to hear from these students. You guys can go ahead and you can grab a seat. Feel free to, if you want to head up to the balcony and hang out with your friends. I'm going to wrap us up here this morning. I almost said tonight again. Oh my goodness, sorry, I was putting the microphone away. I'm going to wrap us up this morning and just kind of share what God is doing in our youth ministry and what God's doing with these youth. This isn't a report on the things that are happening, but like we do this on Wednesdays, but this is a report of the cool things that we've seen God do with these students. You guys, we got a really cool opportunity to go into the mountains like these kids shared about, like these students shared about. We got to go up and talk about some awesome things. I think Mario's in the house. I shouted him out last service. I'm going to do it again. He did an incredible job bringing the house down up at camp. He did amazing. And a familiar face for some of you, if you've been around for a while, Mikey Moore did our worship, and it was just so powerful, so powerful. You guys, it was really cool to just see the students just so invested. And we taught with the lessons and the sessions, they were all focused about having roots in Jesus. When the world has all these different things that they want us to place our identity in, we want to encourage our students to put their identity in God. And to say, He's created me, and I'm created me to be a follower of Him and given me a purpose. And so we want these students to have roots and understand who it is that God is and who He has called them to be. And so, guys, that's the passion. That's the passion for these students, and that's what I'm hoping that they're going to continue. That's what we're going to continue to talk about in youth group in this next year, is having roots in God and having a biblical worldview, a view through God's word and understanding His word. We're going to continue to push that. The reality is that so many students, when they go through children's and they go through youth, they become an adult and they walk away from the church. And it breaks my heart, and it's so important to us as a church that we continue to keep these students invested, because these students that sat in front of you this morning, they are the next generation of this church. They are our student leaders right now. They are literally in our student leadership program. They help do worship. They help run the night. They have investment in what's going on, and someday, really, really soon, they're going to be having a part of what we're doing here in our services. They're already a part of our worship, and they're going to be a part of a lot of other things. This is the next generation, and there's so much hope that comes from that. And so we are focused on being just rooted and rooting these students in God. It's so important to us. And so it's important that you guys walk away and that you're encouraged from the things that are going on in our youth. But I also want to give you an opportunity to be involved in our youth. And it doesn't just look like being a small group leader. We've got a lot of small group leaders, and they're amazing. Shout out to you if you're in this room. I love you. You're amazing. You make youth group happen. But you don't just have to be a small group leader to be invested in our youth, invested in this next generation. There's so many ways for you guys to be a part. Like I said last service, if you were to put me in Shelly's 2s and 3s room, it would not be good, you guys. It would not be good. Something would catch fire. It would just be like, babies, I don't know how to hold this. But youth, I can do youth, and I think a lot of people can resonate with that. Like, not everyone works well with youth, but it doesn't mean that you can't be a part of it, and not just the youth, but you can be a part of all of our different areas and children's. And so it doesn't just look like small group leading. There's lots of ways that you can support our youth. Many of you may not know this, But on our Wednesday nights, we do this really awesome thing called the Study Cafe. And what that looks like is our cafe. Yeah, shout out to the Study Cafe people. We hang out in that cafe over there that you guys get an opportunity to hang out on Sunday after church and in between services. We hang out in there. And what it does is it allows students, when they're done with school on a Wednesday, to come straight to church and not have to not have a reason to be able to come to youth group. They don't have to say, I can't come to youth group, I have homework. They have a place to do their homework. And in that, we have opportunities to be able to be involved with youth. That doesn't mean like being a small group leader. I don't know if you know this, but students like food. Yeah, that's what brings them in the door. Yeah. It's a long gap in their day between school and youth group. So if you're like, I can make a meal. That's an easy thing that I can do. It's an easy way to be involved there if you want to be a part of that. If you're good at math, I'm not good at math, but if you're good at math and you're like, I can sit in a room for an hour and answer questions, or I can help students with writing a paper, that's an opportunity to serve. We have an incredible winter camp that we talked a bunch about. That camp doesn't happen with what I call like the camp dads, the people who come and they're just help. They come and they start fires in the cabins, the good kind. They start fires in like and they drag mattresses from place to place because we sold out every single bed at camp this year. It was just incredible. In fact, we sold too many beds, so we had to drag mattresses from cabins just to make sure that every student who wanted to be there could come. And we need people like that who are just willing to every once in a while just be a hand and support. We have a security team who keeps our students safe on Wednesdays and now on Mondays as that small groups program just continues to grow and grow. There are just so many ways. We had the Lord provide in such an incredible way with buses. We didn't know how our students were going to get to camp this year, you guys. It was crazy, and the Lord provided in the last week just lining up a bus and a driver. If you can drive a bus or you have a boat or you want to contribute a vending machine, like whatever it is that you have, and you're like, I can contribute that. Maybe a student wants a potato gun. Actually, don't give us a potato gun. That's a terrible idea. Whatever it is, there's a lot of ways that you can contribute. And if you have something and you're like, I think the students would enjoy this, come talk to me. Come talk to me after church. I'll be hanging out around the stage, and we want to get you plugged in. And there's more than that. One of the big impacts, and we got to see from some of our students, it impacted them up here on the stage. Your contributions, your giving financially made it so that students could come to camp this year. We had over a dozen students who wouldn't have been able to afford to come to camp come because of you guys. Your giving made such a huge difference. They wouldn't have been able to come since their first year, and you guys supported them, able to hear Jesus for the first time for some of them, getting to have worship in an environment like that, and just all the incredible things that happen of a camp. They happen because of your guys' giving, and it makes a big difference. And then finally, and this one is the most important one in my opinion, your guys' prayer. Our prayer as a church is so important as we continue to just absolutely cover our students in prayer because like I said, they're the next generation of this church. We can be praying as a church for these students to continue to grow roots in God, that they would deepen their roots, and that they would, when the storm comes, that they wouldn't just be blown over, that they would understand who God is and who God's created them to be. And so you can pray for roots and a foundation in God. We can pray for a godly community. It's so important that we have spaces like youth group, like small groups, like our 9 o'clock service, like church, where students can come and be with people who have the same views and the same morals and the same relationship with God. It's so important that our students have community. And for some of these youth, a youth group is the only place that they get to have that. And so we can be praying for these things. And so this morning, we're going to go into a time of worship in just a moment, but we are going to pray together as a church. We're just going to absolutely cover these students in prayer because that's one of the most important and powerful things we can do together as a church for these students. So we're going to go in and pray, and then we're going to go into a time of worship. So would you guys bow your heads with me? Lord, we get an incredible opportunity to be involved with youth, and it doesn't always look the same. God, it's so exciting to hear. It's so exciting to hear the things that you're doing in the lives of these students, in our small groups, in our retreats, in our youth group. God, you are there and you are present and you are working in the lives of these students. You are giving them gifts that they can use. You're giving them opportunities to share with their friends. And so, Lord, we just want to cover these students in prayer. We just want to lift them up to you and say, God, this is our next generation, and it is so important that they would just be surrounded by us, that we could support them, that we could lift them up and encourage them. God, we are just grateful that we have a church who wants to be involved, who's going to continue to be involved, who sits in on the 10:30 service every Sunday morning and says, I want to get adjusted now. I want to know what it's like so that when I leave and I turn 18, I don't just walk away. Lord, we lift that up to you. We're going to trust that you have your hand on these students, that you continue to be in the lives of these students. God, we just want to honor you and lift you up and glorify you. God, just continue to encourage this congregation to just pour into this youth, pour into this next generation as they lead and they continue to be a part of this church. We love you, God, and we give this church to you. In Jesus' name, amen.